Number 12. Mysterious train disappearance in Italy. This is perhaps one of the strangest stories on the list. On July 14, 1911, a railroad company named Zanetti gave 100 wealthy Italians a free test ride on their newest train. The train ride was going very well, and the passengers were enjoying themselves. It wasn't until they reached a new tunnel, built through a mountain, that they would mysteriously vanish. Right before the incident, 2 men were able to jump out of the train when they realized something strange was happening. However, the train, along with the rest of the 98 passengers and 6 crew on board, weren't seen again. Authorities searched every corner of the tunnel, but the train was never found. It was as if it had vanished into thin air. The 2 men who escaped moments before its disappearance said the train suddenly became surrounded by white fog, and the passengers on board started acting strangely. What makes the story so sensational is that it is believed the train time traveled. In Mexico in the 1840s, it is believed that all 104 of the Zanetti passengers were checked into a Mexican hospital. A psychiatrist at that hospital noted a group of 104 Italians were all admitted in a hysterical state. He also noted that the way they dressed was clearly from a different time and place, and that one of the passengers had possession of a box of cigarettes dated with the year 1907, over 60 years into the future. There have also been other alleged sightings of the train or passengers in different years around the world. Number 11. Lost in the catacombs of Paris. 2 teenage boys, ages 16 and 17 years old, became lost about 65 feet under Paris in the catacombs. That's about the same length as a 5-story building, just underground. While only a little over a mile is open to the public to explore, the tunnels span across 150 miles. It isn't clear how the teenagers got lost in the first place, but they were trapped in the cold, dark maze for 3 days, surrounded by the bones of about 6 million people who were buried there. That has got to be one of the creepiest places to be trapped in for 3 days. Thanks to the search dogs that were part of the rescue effort, the boys were found and were taken to a hospital where they were checked out and treated for a minor case of hypothermia. Number 10. Missing in a West Virginia mine. 4 friends were lost in an abandoned coal mine in West Virginia in December of 2018 after entering at 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning. It seems as though it's true what they say. Nothing good happens after midnight. 2 days later, on Monday, one of the friends managed to find his way out of the mine and went to authorities for help. Rescue teams were put together to find the 3 missing people. Since the mine was abandoned and there was no ventilation system, the rescue teams extracted standing water from another entrance in order to fill it up with air. They were finally found a couple of days after that, 5 days after their initial disappearance. Everyone made a full recovery. Number 9. The Chilean Miners. On August 5, 2010, there was a collapse at the San Jose copper and gold mine in Chile, leaving 33 coal miners trapped about 2,300 feet underground. That's more than the Shanghai Tower, which is the second tallest building in the world at just over 2,000 feet high. When the collapse happened, all the men took refuge in an emergency shelter within the mine. It was equipped with a small amount of food that they rationed for nearly 2 weeks before rescuers were able to drill down through the mine and make contact with them. They sent down supplies like food, water, and medicine through the hole they created. But it took much more time to drill and reinforce an escape shaft that would be big enough for the men to be rescued. It wasn't until October 12th that the men were able to be saved, making them trapped underground for 69 days. Number 8. Britons trapped in a Mexican cavern. A British military team made up of 6 people was trapped in the Alpazat Caverns near Puebla, Mexico in March 2004. When the cave unexpectedly flooded, they took refuge on a dry ledge about 90 feet underground in the cavern. They had enough supplies to wait for British rescuers to arrive in Mexico to save them. 8 days later, help arrived, fitted them with scuba diving gear, and led them through 980 feet of flooded passageway to safety. This ordeal did cause some tension between the British and Mexican governments. Mexican authorities wanted to know why British military personnel arrived unannounced on tourist visas and why their expedition wasn't disclosed with the Mexican government. To make matters worse, the Brits refused help from Mexican authorities while they were trapped, which caused even more tension. Number 7. The Spanish boy who fell into a borehole. We wish each story could have a happy ending, but unfortunately, this isn't always the case. On January 13th, 2019, a 2-year-old boy fell into a borehole while playing in the countryside near Malaga, Spain. His parents frantically called for help, but the opening of the hole was so narrow, only about 10 inches in diameter, that it took rescuers several days to drill a hole wide enough for them to fit in to save him. It was discovered that the boy fell over 230 feet into the hole. That's like falling out of a giant sequoia tree. Tragically, once they were able to reach the boy, he had already passed away. Number 6. Yorkshire cave rescue tragedy. In June 2019, 74-year-old Harry Hesketh was exploring a cave in Yorkshire, England, when he fell 20 feet and broke his leg. The 2 friends he was with rushed to get help, and over 90 rescuers attempted to save him over the span of 18 hours. The passages were extremely narrow, and it took several hours to try to make their way in. Just as they were getting ready to try to remove him, he unfortunately passed away due to his injuries and the amount of time it took for them to reach him. Number 5. The Quecreek Mine Rescue. 27 miners were working in a coal mine in Pennsylvania in July of 2002. While they were working, they dug through a wall that unknowingly had about 75 million gallons of water behind it. When they broke through, all that water came crashing down, flooding the mine. Imagine 75 large pools, about 265 feet long and containing 1 million gallons each. That's the amount of water those miners were facing. 18 of the miners were able to get out in time, but 9 of them were trapped 240 feet underground in a pocket that was only 4 feet high. Not so great if you're claustrophobic. Rescuers used a drill big enough to make a hole into the chamber where the miners were trapped. They were stuck there for about 4 days, but were all luckily saved. Number 4. Little girl found in Mount St. Helens. A group of young YouTubers were exploring Ape Cave in Mount St. Helens, Washington in August of 2016. They were filming a vlog for their YouTube channel, and you can see when they reached a deep point within the cave where the passage narrows so much that you can't get through. All of a sudden, a little girl popped out of nowhere without a flashlight in the pitch-black cave. She was frightened and didn't speak English, but the young men tried to calm her down and get her to follow them out of the cave. Nobody is sure how she got so far into the cave alone, or how long she was alone for, but she was reportedly reunited with her parents after being led to safety. Number 3. The Thai soccer team. On June 23, 2018, a Thai soccer team made up of 12 players ranging between 11 and 16 years old and their 25-year-old coach disappeared in a cave for 9 days. The Tham Luang Cave in Thailand is over 6 miles long and is known to partially flood during the rainy season. The coach took the boys there after soccer practice as a fun activity to do together. But little did they know that heavy rainfall would hit at the very moment they were exploring within. The cave partially flooded, and they were trapped about 2.5 miles from the entrance. They survived for 9 days alone in the dark, cold cave on snacks that they had with them and drank drops of water that dripped from the cave. It wasn't until July 2nd that rescuers, who were working tirelessly to locate them, finally found all 13 of them alive. They brought them supplies and food, but had to wait for the flooding to go down a bit before beginning the extraction process. It took 3 days from July 8th to July 10th for each person to be successfully rescued. Everyone on the team survived the ordeal. Number 2. The trapped Chinese gold miners. On January 10th, 2021, an unexplained explosion blocked the entrance of the Hushan gold mine in China's Shandong province, leaving 22 miners trapped nearly 2,000 feet beneath the ground. They were trapped there for 2 weeks with no sign of survivors for the first week. It wasn't until one of the miners tugged on a rope a week into the ordeal that was lowered into the narrow shaft. Food and medicine were lowered into the shaft as rescuers were trying to drill a pathway to the miners. Ultimately, 11 of the miners were rescued, but 9 of them were unfortunately found dead. Number 1. Glacial disaster in Tapovan Tunnel. In February 2021, the Tapovan Tunnel in India was flooded after a glacier burst. Many people disappeared into the tunnel as the water carried them within. Search and rescue efforts lasted for months, with a death count of over 83, as well as the findings of many severed body parts. While numbers are a bit unclear, at least 11 bodies were pulled out of the tunnel, and some individuals were actually pulled out alive. It is clear that this was a tragic situation for everyone involved. Would you rather be trapped in a cave underground for a week, or wake up 60 years in the past?